All right. Well, Sandy Moore has occupied a strategic place in my life in two times, and that would be when I wanted to be a host. Sandy was my mentor and guide and trainer. And then when I got married, it was Sandy who presided over the wedding with the rabbi. So it was a wonderfully festive event, and I suspect that Sandy Moore has occupied a very strategic and pivotal place in so many lives as the co-founder of In Spirit, used to be Center for Spiritual Living, and she's a mother and a wife and so many levels of consciousness, all of which blend perfectly, and we're going to hear that today. Please give a warm Inside Edge welcome to Reverend Sandy Moore.
Oh, I love you, Larry. And I absolutely love that you invited me here again. Diana called, and it was such a joy because I loved coming to the Edge, and then life got in the way and got busy, and Tuesday nights got busy and kind of faded away, but I feel the same love and joy right here from the people I see, that I recognize, and the new people that are here. It's beautiful. So when Diana said, it's love, it's Valentine's week, and she didn't know that it was also the week of our 44th wedding anniversary, so it's perfect. She said, will you speak on love? And that was months ago, and I said, sure, how about love is a collaborative, whatever I said of art, a collaborative work of art. And then Monday when I sat down, I thought, oh, well, what am I talking about? I said, this is really interesting. And then beautiful, this is where I keep on my altar, my little tapestry. And I said, well, this is a collaborative work of art. How beautiful it is on this side, a beautiful tapestry. And this is the real part of the love we have to work on, the messy side, the messy side. So today, love, when I know it, I talk about it all the time. It's the foundation of the universe. It's the stuff of life, and it's there all the time. It's the possibility that lives in everything. It's not hard to love. It's just the people that make it difficult. And so I think what we're talking about this morning is kind of how we weave it together, that beautiful possibility of love with, we talk about connections, and you talked about that so beautifully, Larry, the connections here, and that's what the Edge is all about, community and connections, but how we weave that big possibility of, we can love everybody with dealing with all of the imperfections of our humanity. So when Kirk knows, even though we're celebrating our 44th wedding anniversary, he really knows I'm in love with another man. It's a 13th century mystic, a Sufi mystic, Rumi. I love Rumi, and when I read him, he just, excites me. And he said, our job is not to seek for love, but just to seek for all the barriers we've built against it. And, we live in this world that's craving connection. We have so many things to separate us with technology and all the news and everything that's going on, and we crave connection. Yet in 7 billion people on the planet, loneliness is an epidemic now. It's an epidemic in the world. People feel loneliness because we don't know how to be the invisible thread. So my invitation today is, I'm not going to say one new thing because it's all been said. But the beauty is we're new every single moment. So it's not that the information is new, but we're new. The people standing here for birthdays, I want to be more aware. I want to be way less aware. We get to choose what we're going to be, every moment. It doesn't matter. It's a choice we get to make, how we want to show up in the moment. So I want to just imagine right now that each of us is an invisible thread. And we get to figure out how we're going to weave the messiness of life with the beauty of perfection. None of us here, we might be looking for a perfect relationship, but none of us are perfect. We can be imperfectly perfect together. We want a perfect relationship, but I'm not perfect. You're definitely not perfect. And, that's why we've lasted as long as we have. But none of the people next to us are perfect, but we're perfectly imperfect. So I want you to think, first of all, if you just think of your life right now. We build barriers up to keep people away for several reasons. A lot of times we don't want people to see our flaws. I know one of my weaknesses and one of my insecurities is a lot of times I haven't felt smart enough. I have a master's. I've been a teacher elementary school teacher for 20 years. I've started 2 businesses. I've never been fired from a job, but I'm not an academic. I'm a visionary. I'm creative. I'm sometimes connected, but that's been a fear. So I've kept barriers up sometimes because I haven't felt I could match somebody on the intellectual level of everything they know. And so I built up barriers there sometimes. And that's me. And so we build up barriers because we don't want people to see our flaws or our insecurities. We don't want to be vulnerable. And then we also put up barriers because we don't want to deal with other people's shit. We just don't. We don't want to have to deal with their flaws. So we have all these barriers in our life instead of learning how to... was I not supposed to say that, Toby? I'm sorry. I'm not at the spiritual center now. Can I be real? Oh gosh, okay. Oh, no. But I should have maybe. Anyway. So I want us to think, where have we separated ourselves? Either because we're afraid of somebody else's flaws, that we don't think we have the energy or the patience to deal with it, or our own flaws and insecurities that we haven't wanted to present to someone else. I really want us to think about that today, because something that really helped me, a really, really simple principle that was shared, and I don't know if Ariel Ford has spoken here recently. Has she been here recently?
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, and did she speak on Wabi Sabi Love?
A little bit.
Yeah, because she came after she presented Wabi Sabi Love, and she came and she was so cute. She got up here and she was more vulnerable than I'm willing to say my age. I'm 68, but she talked about how much she weighed, and I'm just not willing to say that right now because what the number in my head isn't what I see when I get on those scales. But she did that, vulnerable right up front. But she talked about some things that really had me thinking about things differently, and I love this invisible thread. When Larry gets up here, he's talking about the crumbs on the counter. And Wabi Sabi Love is about finding beauty in the imperfections. It's from the Japanese term and the way they look at art. When there's a crack in the art, they don't look at it as a flaw. They put gold in it because they see anything that has been suffered or been damaged has so much worth. And I think we could all, at this stage of our life, said, yes, I'm really worthy of so much, of all our suffering, our damage, all the problems. And we think about looking at things in a different way. And so those crumbs on the counter, Larry, every morning, Kurt gets up and makes himself a piece of gluten-free toast with either some good butter or some almond butter on it, and there's crumbs all over the counter. And I used to get up in the morning and just be, oh, these crumbs on the counter, they drive me nuts. And what she mentioned is to think about what it would be like if the crumbs weren't there. And it made me sad. I thought, oh my gosh, if the crumbs weren't there, it'd be that Kirk wouldn't be here making breakfast in the morning. I wouldn't have a partner. So now I love the crumbs. And when he cleans them up, I get mad because then it's not a reminder to me, of that. And I even had a bigger test this week. Now, when Diane, I thought of you so much. I walk in here and I feel your beauty and all that you do to make life beautiful. And I'm not the best cook. And I remember I was having lunch with Diane and some friends and explaining about a dinner party we were throwing, and she heard about what I was making. She said, you know what, I'll help you out. And so she not only did all the shopping, wrote me a detailed list, and I served the most beautiful meal that I did nothing, but the beauty was there. But I got an Instapot. And I don't know about anybody who has an Instapot yet, but you can get home late and you can put stuff in. I love this thing. Actually, Kirk bought it for me. It was so wonderful. And so I pulled it out. The family was coming over. We were all chopping. I heated it up, and we were all chopping everything to go in. Well, I opened it up, and Kirk had decided to use it for a storage bin. And this was just last week, and he'd put plastic utensils in there that melted all over the pot. So I went, my family's there. So I said, I need a minute. Kirk didn't tell me until later that he said, I need a minute too. So we both went into different rooms, and I thought, the Instapot's replaceable. I really didn't like that plastic utensils anyway. So what's really going on here? what's really going on inside of me? And I realized what happened is I wasn't feeling valued. I feel in the family a lot of the times that what's mine is everybody else's. You know, being a mom and a wife. And I realized that that's what was really going on, is I felt this was important to me and I didn't feel valued. I knew he was just trying to clean up and make, you know, we don't live in a huge place, just clean up. So I went in and I said, you know, here's what's happening. I just am not feeling valued right now. I feel like this was my special thing that you got me and you decided to use it for storage. And I have a tendency of being too sensitive and overreactive sometimes. And Kirk has a tendency of responding and reacting to things instead of just taking a breath. And he said, I am really sorry. It makes me feel really bad. So two of the biggest principles in wabi-sabi love is finding the perfection, the imperfections, is forgiveness and sincere apology. When somebody can deeply say, I am really sorry. I don't know why. When, was it the 1770s that we heard love never means you never have to say you're sorry? Who made that up? I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. Oh. So, God, I can't even believe it when you think about it. It's so crazy. You know, I'll just mention Rumi one more time because it is my anniversary week. And he says, you know, if you want the moon, don't stay away from the darkness. If you want the rose, don't be afraid of the thorns. And if you want love, don't be afraid of yourself. Don't be afraid of yourself. Love yourself. Pema Chodron says it a little differently, and I have to read this one because I said that word before, but I'm sure I borrowed it from Pema. She said, rather than letting our negativity get the better of us, we could acknowledge that right now we feel like a piece of shit and not be squeamish about taking a good look at it. And she's a Buddhist nun, and she's an amazing woman. I've seen her several times, and she's just this sweet thing. And she's talking about we have to embrace our darkness. We have to embrace the things in life that just aren't comfortable. Instead of not wanting to look at them and hiding them under something, we have to, truly, if we're going to love each other, we have to be authentic. If not, we're hiding something. So I just want to take a minute and give each of you maybe 30 seconds to go around the table and think, where have I built a barrier to love in my life? You know, where have I built that up? We'll talk about what love means in a minute, but where have I built a barrier to whatever love means to me right now? It could be love of a significant partner, of children, of friends, of community, of our country. You know, where have I built a barrier to being open, to seeing the imperfections and understanding them? And it could be a barrier because you don't want somebody to see you, something in you, or something you're not willing to understand about someone else. So just take a minute, and if you just 30 seconds. So I'll just go time around the table. And why don't you just start if you're the cutest person at the table?
And that's Larry.
I know, that was Larry.
I don't like sin, don't agree with it, I'm sorry. Maybe not outright rejection, but just, okay, honor, a little more graceful than that. I need to improve my listening. Who it is, so that I really hear what you say, not just the words, but I take in the meaning.
It's a blended family situation, and that's difficult. What came to mind is really more personal, where I am in my life, where I left my job last year, it'll be about a year in March. And I have this incredible freedom where I can literally do anything. And I'm fighting with that barrier.
What did you say?
I said, not maintaining my boundaries. It's just not really communicating. I really
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Freedom, and I think my fear about not being good enough, or being a good enough photographer, good enough writer, if I want to finish my book, it's like inner barriers. Okay, I think that we're all somewhat shy anyway. Going into a place where you don't know anybody, you want to be open, gets in the way. But what I've really been working on is, I follow Ted's lead because he'll stand in an elevator that's crowded and he'll say, well, you can't have more fun than this. And everybody laughs, you know, so then he just kind of naturally talks to people.
That's true.
I'm working on that when I walk into the supermarket to find something, you know, nice hair. That's my favorite. Logo shirt, you know, just anything.
Anything.
That
Yeah.
sparks expansiveness.
I think for me, it's always, we shy away from people. We open ourselves up for work. I have a pretty much all my life. I think that I have probably a barrier about letting go from the start of so therefore I won't get a chance to back. So I think that's part of what I'm but I'm very aware that I've done it too, so I thought it's kind of an odd thing to be. There was a lot of security and all very well could be. But you can still learn as you
Okay, we have about a couple more minutes. Are you finished? 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 Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Just acknowledge your table. Thank you, thank you. I heard some really good answers. I heard listening, not being a good enough listener. I heard not setting good boundaries and being afraid of, gee, how am I going to control this situation? I heard being too shy and afraid of getting hurt or was there anything else? I didn't get back. I couldn't hear back at this table. What did you have a theme back there, an idea, barrier of any particular? What was?
Showing vulnerability.
Yeah, vulnerability. Yeah. Well, and thank you all for that because it felt really good to hear people, being courageous enough to be vulnerable. It was kind of an early morning to kind of lay that on each table. I'm sorry about that, but I just did it anyway because it's important that we're able to do that. Love is such an interesting word. There's such a huge spectrum. We go from, I can say, I absolutely love chocolate chip cookies. I love when they're moist and warm and I love my husband and my daughter. And I love God, or whatever name you call that up there, that's something bigger than we are. And it's such a huge spectrum for this one word to be put into. But what I know, I'm going to talk right now what I consider that love that I said is that fundamental force in the universe. And it's collaborative. If you look at nature, nature has to be collaborative, has to work together to be successful. A seed has to work with the soil, has to work with the sun, has to work with water to be its divine optimum self. And that's on the physical plane, and the same with the spiritual realm. We are born here, we're wired for connection. And we have to learn how to be that thread to open ourselves to our own vulnerabilities, and also to be able to thread it into the imperfections and the things that are hard to do too. Now, I'm not sure who wrote this quote, but I read it and it just reminded me so much of how to take the higher road and how to really do the things that matter in the world. It said, spiritual love is a position of standing with one hand in the universe. Standing with one hand in the universe and the other one extending out into the world. And that to me was such a beautiful definition of love. One hand in the universe, taking the high road, seeing something more. You know, no matter what's going on here, there's something more at work. Holding on to that, extending one hand out into the world and passing that energy on. And I use that often when I'm going, oh, there must be something more going on here. There must be something more. And I heard, Ted, I heard you get into an elevator, and what was that you said? He says,
Well, you can't have more fun than this.
you can't have more fun than this. And what is that? Just something as simple as that just opens the door to building connections with people. What a gift. Doesn't have to be hard. You know, but what do we do to take that high road, to make it better, to do something more? Because I really believe that's why we're here, to be that thread, to bring things together, to make sense of things and bring compassion and understanding. Now, there's an old Buddhist proverb that says, love, now that's the real love, the big love. Love is like a bird with two wings. One wing is wisdom, and the other is compassion. And if one of them is broken, the bird cannot take flight. And if we think about that in our life, wisdom is the wisest and best part of our thinking. You know, the wisdom, not just knowledge, but the wisdom. And compassion is the wisest and best part of our heart. And if we can pull those two things together, that's however it expresses, that's really what love's all about. And you know, if we think of compassion, and Pema Chodron said something else about compassion that I thought was so beautiful. She said, compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's not that kind of relationship. It's a relationship between equals, that we're all here in a shared humanity. Only when we know our darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. That's that part of the tapestry that's all kind of wiggly and loose and just learning about itself. Compassion becomes real when we recognize shared humanity. That we're all in this together. There's not a single person here that doesn't have beautiful perfection and light and joy to share, and also a part of us that has a vulnerability and weakness that keeps us holding back a little bit too. So it's important for us to be able to weave the two parts of ourselves together. Now, do I still have more time? Good. Okay. So we talked about what our vulnerabilities are, but it's just as important for us to see where are the high parts of us? Where are we taking the high road? Where are we reaching up into a greater understanding? Because really, that is just about greater understanding, reaching up to something bigger. Where are we reaching up to a greater understanding and bringing it out into our lives? And it could be with something very, very simple, just like we talked about at the table. What are you doing to share love? And I said, I show my love by, when we get in bed at night, I want to play footsies. You know, I want to show love with my feet first because I'm a cuddler, and we start there. And it can be as simple as that. But where are you showing somebody they're special or doing something to share the goodness and purity? Because you can feel it. It's tangible. You walk in this room and you feel the goodness when people make that connection. So just take a minute and just think, where am I where am I taking that greater understanding and really making this world a brighter place? I want to share something. It was funny. It wasn't funny. That was not the right way to lead into this. I did a memorial service this last weekend, and it was for someone I didn't know. Somebody actually in Florida had called and said that she'd gotten my name and would I do this service for this woman. Didn't know her. I couldn't meet with the family because there was no family around here. I said, well, how do I get to know this person? I won't do a service unless I know something about the person, because that's what's so important. That's what I do. And she said, well, make some of these calls. I'll give you some numbers. And I got a number from, I was calling people, and wow, this woman was amazing. She was a Vietnam vet in Special Forces. She was a tunnel rat. She taught elementary school in this area around here for, I think, 37 years. She was interior designer. She was a fabulous cook. But what everybody said is, she just makes life better. Everywhere she goes, she'll feed us, she'll play music, we'll have fun, and she lived so well. No one, only one person at the very end of when I was talking to him said, you know, she battled with cancer for 40 years. She was not her disease. She lived life fully. And I'm reading a book right now by a Jewish mystic, Rabbi David Cooper, called God is a Verb. And he said, you know, life isn't here to be perfect. Life is here to be alive. So when I did her service, it was so beautiful. And I didn't know there were so many different people there. She also rode motorcycles, had a Harley trike. She was in the Corvette Club. I forgot all about that. I was exhausted by the end of learning about this woman. So we had the Corvette Club here, and we had the Harley Club here, and we had the vets here, and we had the interior designers, and we had the teachers here, and everybody had marvelous things to say. It was just so beautiful. But the message that came from the other side is one of the people there knew how much she loved flowers, and she had a green thumb, and beautiful garden, brought flowers everywhere she went, but she loved leis and orchids. So she placed an orchid on me. I didn't even know who this woman was. And she placed an orchid on me. It was the same lei that, I don't know how many, 27 years ago, we had put in the water when we spread our daughter's ashes at sea. So you talk about an invisible thread. It was just this woman saying, thank you for caring enough to study my life and share my life and bring these people together in this way. But I got to wear that beautiful lei. It's still in my refrigerator. I did the same thing. And so don't tell me there's separation, because it's right there all the time. So where have you, in whatever way, been able to take a greater understanding to help the world? I know that each of you has a beautiful place in this world. I know many of you personally, and I can tell just by knowing you, you all make a big difference. So just go around, just say, and it can be as easy, it can be anything. There is no size. It's just how you spread that light. I called her, in the service, I called her a holy spark. That's what I was trying to get to. I called her a holy spark, and somebody who brought sparkles and goodness where she went. And we all do that. So just, where are you a holy spark right now in your life? And this time you can start with a person who wants to.
Pretty broad.
We're giving you the Holy Spark.
Holy sparks of light to other people.
And Spirit got into it.
Like being in the elevator.
And so I'm sharing that. And, you know, and my mission has been, more than 20 years, empowering individuals and organizations to understand.
Yeah, so. You know,
So what's the question?
I'm a spark. just
Where do
by-
you bring your goodness
just by
to the
being-
world? Your holy spark.
Where do I bring the good? Okay.
Just by being there for someone, you know, just being there, knowing they can count on me. If I can't be counted on, then I'm a spark. I just want to be counted
I wrote a song actually about that. It's called Roll Call.
It's so nice to see you say
Had some interesting time raising the two of us.
I'd like to connect with people, and I think for me, what's been most important is I've been showing up. In the past, I've hidden and kind of showed up and listened to it. And now it's like, if you put out there, you're kind of But I want people to connect, and to me, that's really important, because every time I've shown up, there's been something that's sparked something else. That's nice. I can remember what all of them said. Just at the time. People I could say, I'm trying to find that like.
It's got all this abundance, and yet there's a bunch of people running around who don't make eye contact with each other.
And they just beam if you notice them.
Yes.
Then we're say something.
People are acknowledged, don't they?
Where's
About
it?
love in the grocery store.
Yes,
It's a lonely place.
it is a lonely
All this
place.
color, this
Wow.
majesty, love that
Wow.
covers the gamut of all the nutrients we
Yeah.
need, and yet no one told us.
Yeah.
Like, somebody sees me,
Well, you know, it's interesting. In our spiritual center for 20 years, you deal, of course, with a lot of
How
personalities.
much longer do I have?
You can take another 20 minutes if you want.
And I
have
have
20
learned
minutes.
And how about questions?
myself from
Yes,
where is your church now?
it's off Alicia in Mission Viejo. Yes, yeah, right off Alicia, not too far. Yeah. Yeah. We got here in the dark really fast this morning. How are you doing at your tables?
I was feeling that air earlier, that's what.
3 left, okay.
Yeah, if our love is going now,
Right.
then everything
Huh?
Love that.
It's unbelievable. I love it. Yeah, it's great. Oh, it's so good to see you.
In the back, because I actually have to leave exactly at 8:30 because I opened the store, but I'm so glad to see you.
That's one of my favorite violins. Diane Santa Maria. So she's immigrated here about 12 years ago. And she's got her own band. That's fabulous. So I'm having her.
Well, thank you all for sharing. Each had holy sparks going all over and little invisible threads of goodness. It's great. So I heard I made friends with my garbage man. And I make people laugh at the grocery store. And one from over here, a holy spark.
I wrote a song about it.
Oh, a song. She wrote a song to share about holy sparks. How beautiful is that? And a holy spark over here? A connection? Because I heard you say how important show up.
Show up, and
That-
also I ask people what their name means.
Oh.
Because their name that they brought into this world is who they
Nice.
are and what they are.
Oh, I love that. I've never thought of that one. That's beautiful. Makes people feel like they matter. That's what we were talking about. How do you make, in little ways, make people feel like they matter? Back here?
Well, we started this a while ago, a group of us that are retired from Newport Mesa, and we get together for dinner once a month, and now we all end it with, "I love you, man."
Love you, man.
First time I said it to this girl, "I'm not a man," and I'm like, "I know that, but."
It's a good expression. Yeah, it's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Did you have a holy spark, you too?
Oh, yeah, we have Minnie.
Okay. That's why you're on fire back there. That's good. That's good. That's great.
For me, the ability to say, I love you, in just a variety of situations.
Yes.
You know, it's not just romantic. I have a lot of them.
Right.
With men and women, I love you, and it's just that connection. Quick story. I was at a customer's house. I've never met him before. His son had passed away, born with a disease, so this finally took him. And there was stuff on his computer. And as he's telling me the story, he's starting to break down. I say, my wife just passed away. I broke down. And as I was leaving, I was able to look at him straight in the eye and say, I love you. And in this way that it just went, and he took it in and brought it back in that safe moment of two men who didn't know each other, sharing their emotion was just
Yeah.
so
Oh.
perfect.
Gabby, that gave me the gob bumps. Yeah, that's.
I hope I can get this stuff off.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me of what Maya Angelou said. I've learned that people will forget what you said. They forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that feeling, you can feel it, is what won't ever be forgotten. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you know, you could feel that. When you talk about things like that, it just brings up a whole new lightness in the room. There was a vulnerability with the first sharing that was really good to open up, but then you talk about this and it just brings so much lightness in the world. You know, it's truly an honor to be in a group of people like this, and I feel very blessed. And I know that it's this kind of consciousness that's really changing the world and doing the things we need to make this a better, more loving place. And Buddha said, teach this triple truth to all: a generous heart, kindness of speech, a life of service and compassion. These are the things that renew humanity. And that's what we're doing here. Even though it only feels like we're in a little room right here, we're making a new vibration. So just did anybody have a question, first of all, before I just ask you to repeat a couple little things to share the energy? Any questions that we have about, or sharing about love, life, goodness, joy, sorrow, vulnerability, just a few things. Okay, so I would like you to say, I am shockingly lovable. Doesn't it feel good to be shockingly lovable? I mean, you can't believe how lovable I am, right? You feel it. And I am surprisingly perfect. And I'm surprisingly imperfect. And I'm completely available to be, and you get to fill in the blank, to be a holy spark, to be invisible thread of goodness, to be whatever. I am completely available. A gift. Come on. Unique. Come on. Myself. Beneficial. Come on. Of service. Joyful. Good. Oh, alive, grateful. Equanimous.
Is that a reptile?
I know it sounded like a relative of a platypus. How about laughter and laughter? Good, yes.
It's just the statement itself. I'm completely available to be.
All right. Let's close on that. I am completely available to be. Thank you for just allowing me to be here, and I feel blessed. So bless you all. Be holy sparks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Beautiful.